Ta-da! We made
We
it.
made it.
I didn't even check.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad your voice is coming through. I didn't even check that
Oh,
part.
yeah. Sorry that we're 23 minutes late. It's mostly my fault. I
No,
didn't realize there was a time change.
it's the nation of Australia.
Yeah, you guys can blame Australia
They're changed.
for not like supplanting the time change in my head hard enough
Mm-hmm.
that I would remember that now have to get up at 9 a.m. to do Don't Worry Wednesday,
Oh,
which that's
wow.
not that bad. Yeah, I mean 9 a.m. is not that bad, but it's still like I'm used to getting up at 10. You know.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool. I had to get up at like 8:30 this morning because I had a meeting with Jono. So like it was.
Hmm.
And like when you meet with someone that's overseas, they're like, okay, I got this
Yeah.
time in the afternoon, and I'm like, okay, I got to do math. Like, okay, afternoon for
Why is
you is morning for me, and
John tells John to go back to bed? It's way too early over there for him. Afternoon? No way. Just get up at like after night.
yeah,
Get up when the night comes.
yeah, because the night time is
Mhm.
the right time. Yes.
Mhm.
Cats, 3 a.m. Oh my gosh.
3 a.m.
Like with that, I might just be tempted to stay up and then work and then go to bed when I get back when I get back home from work. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so I
then
roll
then
out of
you're
bed on Wednesday and say don't worry. Yeah.
yep. Well, no, it's Thursday though, actually.
It is actually. It is Thursday. I roll out of bed on your Wednesday, but it's my Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep. So Ryan, poor Ryan, man. I mean, he's got to get out. He's got to get up early for this, and then he's also.
Hmm.
It's like the next day, so he's got to be like,
Yeah.
okay, it's Wednesday, but it's actually Thursday for me, but it's Wednesday. So
Yeah, it's a multi-part calculation. It is
yeah.
a multi-part calculation.
Yep. Yep.
I've
Hey.
been pretty good at getting it right most of the time,
Yeah, you are like
but we can all fail.
no. Well, I was curious what was going to happen when it changed back like this because I
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what the Australian schedule was, but I remember when we dealt with this before. You
Hmm.
messaged me an hour early and you were like, "Hey, you ready for No Worry Wednesday?" I'm like, I'm ready in an
Yeah, that was pretty
hour
funny.
from now." And then when that happened, I was just kind of like waiting. I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen again, but the opposite direction, and we're
Yeah,
gonna see how
and
that
that's not
plays
gonna be
out.
great. Yeah, sorry about that.
Because
And you were
doggone,
very graceful with me. Thank you.
oh, of course, I understand, dude. It's crazy. That's how time works, man. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Daylight savings is silly. It should not exist anymore.
It's we could probably do a whole topic about
Oh yeah.
daylight savings.
Let's do it. No, I'm kidding.
I'm always graceful. Cat says, you know what? I try. There are times when I lose my cookies, but I try to be graceful. And if I do try to apologize
I like that
up and
phrase.
down and over again because it's like, yeah, if I do something wrong, yeah, like
Yeah, I like that
that's
phrase. That's a good phrase.
it's the nice way of saying lose your stuff.
Ah, yeah, poo poo.
Yeah. I mean, because
Hmm.
sometimes it comes out like cookies, like no bake cookies.
Okay, I was like discs. What? Okay,
There was a time when I was married, my wife
that's a topic.
she made these no bake cookies, and like you mix all the stuff up in a pan, and then you
Oh yeah.
plop the stuff on a sheet, whatever, and then they harden after
Hmm.
like 30 minutes or however long, right? But these
Hmm.
cookies just stayed soft. They did not harden, and I'm convinced it was because I helped make them. Like anytime I helped,
Uh,
even if all I did was stir, right? Like they
yeah.
would get messed up somehow. Like I stirred too vigorously or just whatever.
Oh, okay.
And
Hmm.
and
Joe's
so
too strong for his own cooking.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, master chef.
Mhm.
So anyway, what we did, well, she ended up leaving, and went back downstate. We were living in Traverse City at the time, and I was just up there working all week, and they sat out on the table. I just left them out. I'm like, okay, eventually they're gonna dry up, and they're gonna be okay, right? They're gonna,
Yeah.
So it took like 4 days,
Okay. That's not too bad.
4 days, and finally. Finally, they were like regular no bake cookies, but they've been sitting out for 4 days. And so I took them to work and I gave them to all my coworkers.
Oh no, Joe. That's great. That's great. The thing about cookies
And they
is
were
you
fine.
can leave them out. Hmm.
That's true. You really can, right? And I was
Hmm.
eating them all week. They were just, you'd have to grab a spatula, and like,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we put so much in the refrigerator, but um, I mean, cookies, certain cakes, tomatoes and peppers and stuff. You don't have to put in the fridge. You can kind of leave them out.
Hmm.
Though I still put a cover on them. I don't want bugs on them and all that.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, but bugs might just be extra protein.
Well, yeah, bugs aren't bad for you. I mean, eating
I've eaten
wise,
bugs before.
generally, but some bacteria might be.
Yeah, that bugs tend to have with them.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Though it is odd, isn't it? Yeah, odd to me. It's odd to me. Like we can digest bacteria just fine. Like if you eat something that has bacteria in it, yeah, you're gonna like experience some stuff. Um, but it's a whole lot worse if it gets into your bloodstream, right? Like way worse. So like
Hmm.
if you breathe it in and it gets into your lungs, it's like way worse than if you ate it.
Mm.
Very, very interesting. I mean,
Hmm.
and it's for obvious reasons, but it's like, but I consumed it. Isn't that the worst thing possible? No, you could have
Yeah.
inhaled it. That would have been worse.
Yeah. Well, because you've got all kinds of chemicals in your stomach. Is that what you just explained?
Yeah,
That break all that
yeah.
stuff down? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, bacteria can't live very well in our stomach, but yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
You'll have to
Yeah.
forgive me. My brain is going like 400 different places all at once. Like, I don't know if I'm
Oh.
getting like the ADHD like kicking in like crazy today or what, but it's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would
Right.
love Kishin. What would I love? Brigadero. Brigadero. It sounds good already. Dessert with just chocolate, butter, condensed milk, and you ball it up. But half the time they just eat it out of the bowl with a spoon. Mmm.
Okay.
Chocolate, butter, and
Nice.
condensed milk. It does sound good,
Yeah, why not? That sounds, of
right?
course, that would be good.
Especially if it's baker's chocolate. Like, so
Hmm.
it's the bitter stuff.
Hmm. I like that.
Oh, yeah. And that's the kind of, you can have that, right, Ryan? Is
Yeah, I
that,
can have baker's
you
chocolate.
can have
Yeah.
baker's chocolate, but it's like once they make it like sweeter, then it causes an
Yeah.
issue.
It's weird. I mean, because sugar, I don't have a problem with the sugar, but I have a problem with whatever else additives they add in. And it seems to me that the more sugar they add in, the more of this other stuff they add in, I think. Like it's like probably palm oil or something.
Yes. That would make sense. If there was palm oil in it, and I know you've recently discovered that palm
Yeah.
oil can be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Is that
Hand delivered
Are
water.
you Oh, it's water. I was like,
It's
that's
mug
like
water because
it's
this
like a
is
really
this is hand
small
delivered mug.
glass, partially full. It looks like might be like vodka or something. I was like,
Oh wait, well I
she
guess let's
did,
find out.
yeah.
Yeah, that's water.
Uh,
No, yeah, it is water.
nice. Oh man. Oh yeah, cats. You have a friend that has the where you pin the dead bugs down like a bug display.
Oh,
Like for
that's cool.
what's a bug scientist called? I always
I
forget.
was wondering that too, and I almost said anthropologist, and I was like, that's not it.
That's not right.
Um,
Entomologist, maybe? Does
entomologist.
that sound
Yeah,
right?
that sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That sounds right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Etymology. You mean entomology? I think yeah.
Yeah, etymology.
Yeah. All I could think of was an apiarist, but I know that's a beekeeper.
Oh wow, I never even heard of that.
Yeah. Apiarist. New word.
Apiorist.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you? I'm an apiorist. It's like, yeah, I play that instrument too.
Wait, what about apes? Like you study apes and you play
Yeah,
them
what?
like an instrument? Like
Yeah, it's like, so, oh, you're one of those people that like train apes to do stuff? No, when I say ape, I mean bee.
Ah, what is the etymology of entomology?
Mm.
What's etymology? I always forget what that means. Do
Oh,
you know what
etymology is the word that is used for trying to figure out where the origin of the word is and how it came to be and
Mm,
what where it's currently used in. Like it's the study of a word.
okay.
It's the study of a word. So if I go, what's the etymology? I can Google like, I don't know, core. I can type in core etymology, and it'll be like core from Latin, corpus,
Mm-hmm.
and then currently used this amount of time from this year to this year, and it'll give the graph for how often the word is used in literature and so on, and all sorts of different stuff. So it's the study of word.
Yeah, and not
I
Microsoft
use it all the
Word.
time.
Word.
No, that's high school, I guess, or middle
Oh,
school. But
yeah, yeah. What is the etymology of entomology? I'm guessing Latin plays a part, and I'm guessing
mm, Greek. If it's
Greek.
got ology, then it's Greek.
Okay, okay. Latin and
But
Greek.
Latin probably still plays a part
Mm-hmm.
in the word. It's very common.
Yep. You are free to look it up.
You can say you're gonna have McDonald's? Whoa,
Hey, enjoy your McDonald's.
man, the controversy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it. Have a nice McDonald's. You know, in Australia, they don't call it McDonald's.
What do they call it?
They call it. This is weird because every time I hear it, I think of the wrong thing. They call it Macca's.
Macca's, huh?
Macca's. Yeah, Macca's. And when I hear it, I think macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Hey, you guys want some Macca's?" It's like, "Nah, it's like I don't really want any macaroni and cheese." And then you're like, "Wait, no." He said McDonald's. Why are Australians so weird? I don't know. It's a great question. They have weird, what they, okay, I also learned this one just the other day, and I was so confused when I heard it. And I tried to find out where it came from, and Google did not have an answer for me. And that's kind of like, I searched for like 45 minutes trying to figure out where the heck did this word come from.
how
Couldn't
did
find it.
how did Google
The
not
word
have an
is,
answer?
it didn't, none of the answers are answering my question.
Oh,
Okay. The word was tip. So,
like when you tip someone at a restaurant, or the tip of the needle, or
yeah, I don't know because this is how it's used. I'm gonna go take my garbage to the tip. Tip is a word for the garbage dump
really?
or the rubbish dump, and sometimes they call it the rubbish tip or the garbage tip.
So is
But
that
they
because
call it the
like you take your
tip.
can over there and you tip it over on the ground
That's what I was
at the place?
thinking.
Like,
But it could also be like it like gets piled up into a tip. I don't know. I was assuming it's because you tip stuff over onto the ground, but I don't know. And it comes from England, and they didn't have an answer. No matter what I searched, I could not find tip etymology because it came up with all the other words that mean tip, and I could not find like I was like rubbish tip. Where did this come from? Nothing.
mm-hmm.
Everyone was just on everything on Google just said, "Do you guys say the word tip? Do you guys say tip or garbage? What do you guys say?" And I'm like, "That's not what I want. I don't care. I just want to know where it came from." Well, you guys should be concerned about this too, because to me it's really confusing. Why would you say that? How?
Well, to them, we're confusing. Why
Oh
why would
yeah,
you
for
come up with
sure.
the word garbage? What does that even mean, right? Like
Well, you do use the word rubbish and garbage on occasion, but the dump part
okay.
is weird. So
Okay, I gotcha.
yeah, and then I'm thinking because I said we call it the garbage dump, and my wife said, um, she said, well, I don't like the word dump because it just makes me think of like what you do when you go to the toilet.
Yeah, right?
And then I was like, it's kind of yeah, probably why we use it for both. And then I realized just now, does that mean I can go take a wicked tip? I'm gonna go to the toilet and take a tip.
That sounds wrong.
I know.
Oh, you guys are sweet. Thank you. Kishin, you are correct. On boats they call the bathroom the head, which is weird.
What?
But
Oh,
boating, everything with boating is weird. I learned
it
this.
is.
It's so weird.
It is.
Like especially sailboating.
Mm,
Like
okay.
everything's weird. Sailboating. You know what a block is on a sailboat? You know what a block is in normal regular life is like a block, right? Like a
Yeah.
brick.
A block in the sailboat is maybe the giant block that keeps the sail in position.
No, it's a pulley. That's what a block is on a
Sailors
sailboat.
are absolute. This is just the worst.
And here's another one. What would you expect on a sailboat is the main sheet?
The main sheet, well, the
The
one
main
that
sheet.
keeps the boat sailing, like
Right,
literally
like the
the one that
big
closes
sail, right?
yeah.
Like the
Uh-huh.
one, the biggest sail, like the main one, right? The main sheet.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a sheet,
Uh-huh.
but no, it's a rope. Sailing is weird, man. Like you learn there's this
Wow.
whole crazy stuff, man. Yep. So yeah. I don't know. I had to learn all that stuff when I worked at a boating supply store. And like you have a conversation with some of these people and you try and act like you're smart, but you find out you're really dumb and you don't know anything until like you like spend a bunch of time there and learn this stuff. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that is so weird. Hmm.
Oh, Saule also okay. Oh, you have the etymology of some of these things. I gotcha. Okay, and now also a block is the frame that holds the sheaves that the rope runs on in the pulley system. Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's why they just have cut because it's kind of the same thing. Like a pulley is like a frame with a wheel in it, right?
Okay.
So maybe they've just kind of shortened it like that's the block. So yeah, okay. Weird. It's weird to me. But anyway, all right. Well, welcome
Wow.
everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. Thank you for our extended intro.
Yeah.
Where we talk about all kinds of stuff. This is a show that's all about you guys, your guys' issues, you guys' problems, you guys' stuff that's going on in your lives. And we would be happy, more than happy, to discuss whatever it is you have to send our way. You can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. If you scroll up in the chat, Katz has so graciously and kindly put the links in the chat for us. So you can go to our
Thank you,
website,
Ken.
don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and fill out your topic there. We do have a few topics here tonight. Well, at least one that we can do. Unless Baka shows up. Baka, if you show up, we can do your topic as well, and that'd be a fun one, actually. But yep, there it is again. Saule, thank you. Put the link in the chat for you guys, so you can click that and submit a topic, or you can just submit a topic here in the chat. We'd be happy to talk about whatever you guys are talking about. We love interacting with you guys. You guys are such amazing, wonderful people, and it's like my favorite time of the week to come here. And we were it was so funny. We were like, because we had this whole time issue, and I was like, okay, I guess I might be doing the show by myself. Or because I don't know, maybe Ryan's internet went out or something, and now my face is blurry. Or it was.
You would have been able to handle it. You're awesome.
Well, I would have.
Well, you were already handling it.
I would have somehow like struggled through, and hopefully we would have had some folks join me. That would have been that would have made it a lot more interesting to have more than just my silly voice on here. But I wasn't gonna miss it anyway because I love this. I love this show. I love doing this show. I love hanging out with you guys. This is such one of my favorite times of the week is to be here with you guys. So thank you for making my week by being here with us.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
So, yep, if you have something you want us to talk about, go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Also, we are not professional counselors. We're not professional therapists. We're not anything like that. We're not attorneys or police officers, even though we have dealt with legal, advice on this sometimes, but we cannot be a
Mm.
substitute for professional advice in any of those regards. We can simply
Hmm.
offer a little bit of guidance and a little bit of perspective. But most of all, we want to be your friend. We want to let you know that whatever it is you're going through, you're still loved, you're still cared for, and you still have people that, want you to be around. We love being with you. So,
Hmm.
um, yep. More than anything, we want to be your friend. We want you to know that you are loved through whatever the challenge is. And we hope that we can accomplish that in this little short couple hours that we have with you every week. But yeah, other than that, I think that's my legal stuff. I think that's the spiel. How are you guys doing tonight or today, this morning, or whatever in the chat? You look real good.
Yeah,
How are you
we're
doing,
everywhere in the
Ryan?
times. Doing great. I mean, I just woke up, but I'm happy to start my day with Don't Worry Wednesday. I mean, that's probably one of the best ways to start your day. It's
Hmm.
also the best way to end your day. It's also the best day to have. Like, it's just Don't Worry Wednesday is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
like
my
if we could
favorite
just
day of
do
the
this
week.
show the whole day on a
Yeah.
Wednesday, we should do. Oh, before it would be crazy.
From the very first Wednesday
From
moment.
from the time that your Wednesday begins till the
Oh,
time
okay.
that my Wednesday ends.
Yeah.
We should
I
do a
was
Don't
thinking
Worry
we
Wednesday.
should just include the whole world.
That'd be like an 18-hour show.
Well, I mean, we might as well do it for since like the very first, but with the very first and last time zone in the Earth, which is like near the Samoa Islands,
Yeah,
because I'm
Kiribati.
sure someone from Samoa is watching. Yeah,
So is
Kiribati.
that yeah, okay. So from the very beginning of that Wednesday
So
to
it'd
the
be a
end of the
20.
Wednesday,
Yeah, it would be a
would it
20.
be
Would
would
that be a
it
24 or 23? 24. It's got to be 24. Yeah.
no. It'd be longer, wouldn't it?
Uh, uh, my brain
From
should
the
not
beginning,
struggle with this,
I
but at the
know,
moment it
but
is. And then
yeah.
anyone in the chat able to
We have to do some
calculate
weird
this?
math. So if we go from the beginning of the Wednesday of the first time zone to the end of the
Oh, to
Wednesday
the
of the
end of the Wednesday,
last
the
time zone
last.
of the
Yes, then it would
last time
definitely
zone,
be.
it'd be like
Yeah, it would
48
definitely be more
hours
than
or
maybe
or
48 or
36 or
47.
so, yeah, something like that.
There's a potential missing um
Some sleep?
time
Yes.
zone. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, potential missing time zone. There might be the way that the time zone cuts often is weird. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I can't remember how the whole time zone thing works at the very edge because it's weird and funky.
Hmm.
But and it's
Yeah,
not even a straight line anymore.
it's
They
not.
just go, I don't know, we're just gonna do this
You
with
guys
it.
decide. You guys decide what time you want it to be. Like
Yeah.
what time.
Hmm.
Like, hey, you know what? I want it to be Tuesday.
Hmm. Great. You do you, Tuesday. It's got to be weird to live on a. Oh my goodness! Thank you so much. You're the
Look at
best.
that.
Appreciate you.
Look
I
at
just
that
got
coffee.
cappuccino.
Cappuccino.
Yeah, with a little bunny on it. Good.
Wow. Bunny
Um,
cappuccino.
yeah. Well, we should do a topic. Sorry,
We
guys.
should. We should.
We're
And
getting off on a big
we
tangent.
have one here. We have one from an anonymous that we can do. This is called identifying and overcoming fears. And it comes from an anonymous person. Yeah, you guys are so awesome. We'll jump into this topic. But yes, let me see if I can get it up here on the screen. That was another thing I didn't check as we were putting all this stuff. Is this gonna work right? It's looking like it's gonna be okay. Ah,
It's gonna be okay.
beauteous. All right, cool. I will put this topic up on the screen so you guys can read it along while I read it aloud. And this is called Identifying and Overcoming Fears from Anonymous. And it looks like that. And it sounds
Whoa.
like this. Hello, DWW crew. Recently, I've been talking with a girl online, whom I am romantically interested in. That feeling is mutual. The issue that I'm having now is related to fear and anxiety. I really want to get my passport and travel to meet her because I think that she is awesome. Yet every time I think about it, fear strikes. It hits me in the chest.
Mm.
I'm not sure what exactly the main cause of these fears are, whether it be bad experiences from prior relationships, going to a completely new place, or traveling via aeroplane for the first time. It makes me really upset too, feeling like I just don't have the strength to go through with it. Have you guys ever had similar fears? What are some things I could do to quell my anxiety? And that
Mm.
is from Anonymous. So Anonymous, thank you so much for the topic. And I can say right off the bat, yeah, it's tough. Like you've got kind of a conglomeration of fears, right? You got like a bunch of them kind of
Yeah.
colliding, like first time on an airplane, that's exciting and scary at the same time. I don't know if you're going to a completely new place. I don't know if you've ever been to a different country than the one you live in. Going international is definitely a new experience, and it can be nerve wracking. If
Mm-hmm.
you've never done that before, bad experiences from prior relationships, I can totally relate. If you've been here before, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I can totally
I've
relate
had a few
to
fears.
these fears that you're having. But
Yeah.
I can tell you that, you said you feel like you don't have the strength to go through with it. I'm telling you that you do. I can answer that for you right here. You do have the strength to go through with it. You do.
Yeah.
And what you're going to find is, like once you, like right now, before any of this happens, it might be kind of confusing. It might be scary. It might be nerve wracking, all this kind of stuff, right? But as soon as you start taking steps in that direction, you're going to find out that these things aren't as big a deal as you thought they were. Every time I face something scary, I end up in the same spot where it's like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Well, actually, I take that back. Most of the time, it's like that. Every once in a while, I'm caught off guard and it's like way worse than I thought it was going to be, right? But usually that's when I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all. And then all of a sudden it blows up in my face or something, right? Like, but most of the time
Yeah.
we build these things up in our heads, and we get all freaked out and scared, and that's kind of a normal human experience. And then as you do it, you discover, oh, I am more than capable of handling this. I totally can do it. Um so
Yeah. That is how it goes.
yep,
Definitely had my experiences of doing exactly what you're talking about
yep.
here.
It happens, and it's totally normal. You're not weird for having this experience. So yeah. So anyway, I am going to do the best thing I can do, and I'm going to get out of Ryan's way and let him have a crack at this. So then we can go. But Super Neon Blue, thank you so much for letting us know that the topic isn't updated. It is
Mm,
now. I did it.
great.
Yes. So anyway, awesome.
Awesome.
So Ryan,
Very
take it
helpful.
away, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna share, if that's all right. I'm just gonna share my multiple experiences of doing what you're talking about. So when I was 14, I got in this relationship with a gal, and we stayed together for, I don't know, like 4.5 or maybe 5.5 years. No, it had to be 4.5 years. I was 14, she was 12. We got in a relationship, and we stuck together for a long time. When I turned 18, by the way, I'd never met her. It was fully online. I lived in Michigan. She lived in Ontario.
Hmm.
And so she lived in a different country. She lived in Canada. But when I turned 18, basically the day I turned 18, um, I went and immediately took my driver's license test, like that week. I think it was like 2 days after. I can't remember exactly. And then basically the very next day, the first time I ever drove my car anywhere, I drove it straight into Canada. It was in, I think it was like a 8-hour drive. Um, First drive I ever did was like an 8-hour drive. Well, of course, right? And that was, I mean, all of that was exciting and intimidating. It was scary and it just really like as I was doing it, it felt like I had a ton of power. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, I'm doing this. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Who does this? This is crazy. I'm awesome. But
Mm-hmm.
also like, gosh, I hope nothing goes wrong, right? So, um, yeah, that was a even just for getting out of there, just getting out there, getting out of my comfort zone and getting into that new territory of, you know, just first time, like almost first time driving anywhere for real, driving for 8 hours, going across into a different country, and just that whole, meeting this person for the first time in flesh, you know, lots of new things, lots of things to be anxious about.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing that felt empowering. It felt awesome. I felt alive. It felt great. Um, and yeah, well said, Super Neon Blue. What happened in that relationship was, I went over there and I mean, I'll try to keep the story short. I went over there. I was supposed to meet my girlfriend at the time, at a um, at an anime convention. We didn't end up meeting there for the 2 days that we went there. Um, and the unfortunate reason was because she was too busy hanging out with her friends that kind of said they wanted to go last minute. And so she kind of took on this job of like, well, I have to chaperone and babysit them. And
Mm.
so, or at least be with them. They're my friends. Um, and did not did not meet me. So after those 2 days were up, I was like, okay, well, this trip would have been an absolute waste of my time. So I'm going to text her and ask her if it's okay if I come to her house. And she said, let me ask my parents. Her parents said yes. So I came over there and I ended up staying there unexpected for like almost an entire week.
Ooh.
Yeah. Her parents loved me. It
Mm.
was great.
I mean, who
Her
doesn't
parents
though,
loved me.
right?
Well, yeah, I guess whatever. But there are people. There are people. I don't know them, but they exist. And of course, I
Because
don't
they
know them
don't.
because why did you get to know your enemy? I mean, that's what you want to defeat them. I'm fine. Anyways, um, that is interesting. I just realized that the wise advice, so to speak, know your, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, yeah, like, why would you do that? It's a terrible idea. I mean, only if you want to destroy them or try to figure out what their plan is to destroy you. But like,
Mm-hmm. I think
I
that's
don't know.
probably why.
Yep. I think I'd rather just avoid all that drama and get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so it went great. And then I came home, and 2 weeks later, she dumped me, which was fine. She said, that she fell out of love, and and I was like, what does that mean? I tried to learn. I ended up picking up a book and reading a book for the first time in my life,
Mm.
by myself. And it was called Love Languages by Gary Chapman,
Yeah.
and it was incredibly insightful, and I learned so much, and it told me so much about what happened in my relationship and why it came to the abrupt end, for me, which is fine, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the time I was hurt, but um, it was fine. It was fine. I learned so much from that. I would never regret anything that I did there, even though even though the end result was breaking up. By the way, it wasn't because I went to go meet her. It was because she had already fallen out of love with me, and she was hoping, holding on to the hope of maybe if she meets me in real life, all of a sudden it will spark her love again.
Mm.
But that didn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's so it was nothing to do with me going out and trying to meet her. It was actually that was what her hope was, to be the saving grace. But it didn't happen, and that's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, even though it didn't end in a lasting relationship, the experience absolutely worth it. There's so many great short little memories I got in that, and so much self-esteem I got by doing that. So much of my fears and anxieties about life went away because I did that. Because I realized of what I'm capable of, and then I'm capable of even more.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued to act on that, right? And so, um, yeah. Um, and then the second time I went off and did basically the same thing. Um, Completely different story, but there was a girl who I was in a relationship with for 5 years, and um, I she lived in the Philippines and I lived in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was on the other side of the world. Um, but got a flight over there, took a flight, and hung out there for 2 weeks, and got to learn the Philippines, learn about the Philippines and experience it. And it's a completely different country. I mean, it's a the thing is, if you have anxiety about going to a country um, that you're not used to, the Philippines is a third world country with first world technology. So it's like a weird thing. There's an unfortunate amount of poor people on the streets.
Mm.
Um, and they're nice. Everyone over there is awesome. Everyone over there is generally nice. But like everything is different. Just like the traffic is different. Like the cars, they don't obey the street lights that exist, and it's crazy over there. All right, and it's wild. And they have these things called jeepneys, which are like trucks that they took from World War II. Oh, America left them there,
Wow.
and they turned them into traveling buses with no backs on them. They're just completely open back.
Mm-hmm.
And so you walk up to one, you jump on, and then you pay the driver. And they're just going down the street. People are just jumping on
Mm-hmm.
like into the back of this thing while it's moving. You know, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I got to experience all sorts of really cool things. Um, and I got to spend time with the person um, that I was in a relationship with at the time, and that was very cool. It was very neat. Um, got to learn more about her in ways I never would have been able to if I didn't go over there. Well,
Mm-hmm.
lots of, you know what I'm saying? Like way more. There's it's not that people are completely different online versus in real life, but there's so much more complexity
Mm-hmm.
that you can receive when you have like a face-to-face conversation, or you're stuck in a room with each other for like many 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 hours, and you run out of things to say,
Mm-hmm.
and or you get to see how their habits are, what they like something as silly as like, oh, I didn't realize, I never really thought about you picking your nails before, but I see you picking your nails. Okay, like, that's, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's like it's just a different experience, right? And then it's like nothing wrong with that, right? It's just like, okay, I never even, like, my mind never would have processed such a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see their mannerisms and how they move, and and then you might think like, oh, the way that they move is cute, or the way that they move is literally off-putting. you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's a deal breaker. Yeah, she's cleaning out her nails. Ew, deal breaker. Ugh, gross. Clean under the nails? No, thank you.
How dare you?
Anyways,
How dare you have
I was,
clean nails?
yeah. What about the? Ah, man, you just ravaged an entire ecosystem. There was like germs living in there, and oh man, you just killed them all. You're a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, my point is, you get to see them in a whole new way, and it's not a bad way. It's like it's kind of like, I don't know, taking one bite of a really it's like you have a salad right in front of you, and then online the salad's good because you're eating like this lettuce and it's got some nice dressing on there. and then you get into a real life situation and you realize this salad has apple slices in it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got carrots in it, it's got radishes in it, and it's got like all these other flavors that you weren't noticing because you weren't able to get to it. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's so many more flavors. Some of them you enjoy and some of them you like less, right? And part of that is interesting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like when you're in a relationship with someone in the flesh, it's like suddenly you're tending to them in a way you've never been able to
Mm-hmm.
online, right? You're tending to them in ways you were never able to
Mm-hmm.
online, and that feels special. So, um, I guess the third time this happened to me, where I went into another country, is where I am right now.
Mm.
And now I'm married to this wonderful girl who just gave me this coffee and who gave me also, you can't see it, but it's a little cake in here that she baked. It's a date pudding. Although there was a little bit too much rum in it, it tastes like rum cake with date
Mm.
pudding on the side.
The
It's good.
rum.
Yeah, it's great. Um, yeah, and that was a completely different experience, you know. In
Well,
this
didn't
one,
she
it
didn't she
was
come
like
here first? No, to
no,
here. I say here. Oh wait, no, that's right. You went there
yeah,
first. That's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's
I
right.
went there for 2 weeks. I said I'm going to, we it was less than a year's time actually,
Mm.
where we started talking and then we talked every single day without fail. It
Mm.
wasn't like we were forcing it, it was just we were. And then after many months, we deliberated and said, you know what? It was like 3 months. August, September,
Many
November,
equals
October.
three.
Yeah, after several months, several can be three. After a few months, um, we we decided that it was definitely worth meeting up so that we could figure out if we wanted to live our lives together. And depending on how it went, would decide all of that. And to me, I was like, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. It is absolutely worth doing this. And if she's not the one for me, then I want to at least get this over with as fast as possible because I don't want to be stuck here
Mm-hmm.
in limbo
Mm-hmm.
because I've been stuck in limbo for a really long time before and it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I
Just rip the
flew
band-aid
off.
off, man.
Yeah, just rip the band-aid off. Exactly. So I flew out to Melbourne, Australia, and we hung out in the city for 2 weeks. It was kind of funny because I arrived there and was immediately sick, and she was also sick. And so we spent
Yay.
1.5 weeks just being sick, stuck kind of sick in a apartment building thing. And we took care of each other. And that was a beautiful experience. It was like when we were going through it, we were both like, I'm actually happy that we're both sick. Because it's like we get to experience each other this way. When we're both sick, we're both kind of just trying to figure out how to get out of bed and also trying to figure out how to take care of each other. And then, doing all of that rigmarole. And just experiencing each other when we're at our physical weakest to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it doesn't. Luckily for us, it doesn't affect too much our mental strength, our mental and emotional strength, because we're very blessed in that region, I guess.
You're
But
powerful. You're powerful people.
powerhouse, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so it was a really awesome, awesome experience. So I stayed there for 2 weeks. Um, it was by it was like immediately the first day we knew that it was like, okay, this is real, and this is gonna be awesome. And then the second day, I was just like, so let's talk about it. And we're both like, so we're doing it. Yeah, we're gonna get married. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. So, and that was October. No, it was December 1st. That's right. It was December 1st when I went there last year. So, um, is that right? Yeah, something like that. Correct me where I'm wrong. super neon blue. Um, but anyways, yeah. And then I left, came home, and in May, at the end of May, maybe it was early June, I don't remember. Anyways, Super Neon Blue came over to America
Mm-hmm.
for the first, well, not the first time she'd ever been in America. She had been when she was a teenager for a very short period of time. But anyways,
Mm.
yeah, she stayed with me for 3 months, and then I went back with her, and now I've been here in Australia for the rest of the time. And um, we didn't want to have to split up because there are all sorts of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to get married in the Catholic Church, which required us to go meet with somebody in person, and we can't really do that um, because we're from different countries, and I can only stay in a country for 3 months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been incredibly costly. So we figured out that we could do that if we got married. Legal marriage through Australia would allow us to stay together allow me to stay in the country. So we did that, and so now we're there, and that's where we're at right now. But it's awesome. It's been fantastic. It's been lovely. It's been wonderful. It's been the best. Best decision I could have made ever. I mean, like, best decision I could have chosen to make is to act on to act against my fears, to act against any anxiety, and just go. Just go. Because she's worth it. And the relationship is worth it. What's interesting about relationships is like a relationship is like a third person on top. You know what I'm saying? Like you are a whole person and this other person is a whole person. And then the relationship is this whole fascinating, like it's like almost a whole nother person. The relationship. And the relationship is worth it, and the person is worth it. So, yeah, I encourage you, even if you're afraid, go for it. It'll be worth the experience, even if it doesn't turn out. Even if everything goes wrong, as long as if you get back on your feet, which you can, you'll be like, that was a crazy experience, and you'll be thankful for it someday because you'll be able to talk about it and the life experiences you get from it and the strength you get from recognizing you were able to do it even amidst all the problems that you had to face. Like, it's absolutely great and worth it, and I would recommend go for it. That's what I got.
Right on, man.
Yeah, sorry, I guess that took a little while to say. There was a lot of stories there. I mean, guess yeah.
Yeah. Super Neon Blue says, if everything does go wrong, you don't like them or they don't like you, definitely leave. It's worth it to move on as well if that's the case. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's good to go and figure this stuff out, right? Because and it's funny, Cats, you mentioned, yeah, I need my woman to smell awful. She should never shower. And you know what's funny is like that's one of the first things I wonder about when I get to know
really?
somebody. Yeah, it's like I wonder what they smell like. Because everybody's got their own certain smell, or like their house has a certain smell or whatever.
Yeah.
And depending on what kind of different shampoos, soaps, all that stuff. And everybody has their own like chemistry so they have their own odor, right? And it's funny, like it's like if I was gonna be in like a long-term type of relationship, it's almost like I would prefer to, get to know what's this person gonna smell like when they don't shower. If I'm gonna live with them, then we're gonna be dealing with that.
That's funny. That's great.
I'm gonna have to get to know what their dirty feet smell like. I'm gonna have to get to know what their pit stank smells like. I'm gonna have to get to know, like all that stuff because we're human beings,
and
right?
you'll like it.
And when you live with someone, you get to experience all that stuff, right? And so it's plenty. Like, so it's like might as well just figure that out now.
That's great.
But anyway, I'm
that's
totally
really funny.
What?
Just the other day, my wife came into my room and I was like, "You were just at your mom's, weren't you?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, you smell like her kitchen. Her just has a smell.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
it's just strong, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but it has a smell.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know. Part of it might be like I have a pretty sensitive sense of smell. You know, like there
Mm-hmm.
are certain fragrances that bother me. Some of them like give me
Oh
a
yeah.
massive headache, right? Like it's
Sure.
weird. Like um, but some are most of them are just fine. But anyway, it's always funny, like because that's one of the first things I notice about a place that I'm in, or
Mm.
people that I'm with, is what it smells like. You know,
Yeah.
I recently
Yeah, that's interesting.
this past weekend, I got to go up with my boys to Traverse City, Michigan, where I used to live. And you get up north in Michigan, it smells different. It smells great. Like you got the woods, you got the water, you got all, like especially when you
As
get like
long
in
as
in an area near the lake, which is near Lake Michigan, right? That's
as long as you
great.
don't find the smell of pine offensive.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of pine up there. But that's one of the
Yes, a lot
coolest
of
things.
pine.
It's crazy. Like when it was so weird, like when it was almost about to rain, like right before it started to
Oh,
rain,
yeah.
and like all the
Yes.
trees kind of like start to open up it almost,
Mm-hmm.
and like the pine smell just like goes crazy right
Yep.
before it rains.
Mm-hmm.
Is wild. But yeah, smell is one of those things, man. It's like that's like one of the first things I noticed. We got out of the car up there, and I just like, oh my gosh, it feels so great to be here. Feels so great to
Yeah,
be here.
it's interesting. That's so cool. There are times in my life, many times, where I just like walk outside and I'm like, it's about to rain,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the smells.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. But anyway, so Anonymous, I am totally in agreement with Ryan. I think, you should definitely just go for it. Do it. I mean, what do you got to lose, really? If they're welcoming you to come, if this girl that, likes you the same way you like her is inviting you to come and welcoming of you being there, and all this stuff, and you can put these things together and afford it and do all this stuff, right? I mean, do it. Um don't I mean, yes, you're going to be afraid, but here's something that I learned a long time ago, and I read it, and I had applied it without knowing this, and found it to be true, and I am reconvinced of it all the time. But if you do the thing you fear, the death of fear
Mm.
is certain.
Mm.
Do the thing
Mm-hmm.
you fear, and the death of fear is certain. So if you're afraid to do something, and you just can get yourself to push yourself over the edge so you can make yourself do it, then you won't be afraid of it anymore. You
Very
might
true.
you might find it exciting. You might find it uncomfortable. It might like you might be afraid of it, and it might be uncomfortable for you, and then when you do it, you find out you're not really afraid of it anymore, but you still find it really uncomfortable. So you don't want to do it again anymore, right? Like I can totally get that too. But I tell you, you know, we get so held back by fear all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And most of the time there's not really that much to be afraid of. I mean, what do you really what's the worst that can happen? If you're really that afraid, if fear is really getting your goat. And you talked about, okay, what are some things you can do? Your question is, what are some things I could do to quell my anxiety? So you can play a few games with yourself. You can do some mindfulness stuff. If you find yourself in like you're getting worked up over with this anxiety or whatever, then what's happening is you're kind of regressing into the limbic system of your brain, which is the fight, flight, or freeze response part of your brain. It's
Mm-hmm.
very instinctual, and we don't have as much control over it. I get that. That happens to me with certain triggers that happen. Like it just forces me into my limbic system, and I lose a lot of control. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's an experience that's not very fun. It's not very fun for people around me or myself. And it's crazy. But you have to do certain things in order to get yourself back into the conscious part of your brain. And, there are different tricks you can do. Mindfulness things where you look and you count, okay, I see 5 blue things. I see 4 red things. I see 3, purple things. I see, and you can do stuff like that just so you're aware of your surroundings, and that brings your focus back to the world around you. One of the things I learned also was that if you do stuff with your left hand and then your right hand and you switch back and forth, so like you see how I'm doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 with my right hand and my left hand, what that type of exercise does is it also brings you out of your limbic system and back into the conscious part of your brain, so you can then deal with what's going on. So anxiety can be lessened with some of these things if the anxiety is getting to that point where you are losing control or having trouble, if it's just really, really intense, right? But if it's just some general anxiety that's not like super debilitating or, whatever like that, if it's just some kind of fears, then a lot of times what you can do is just start taking steps. And I will play this game in my head where I say to myself, what's the worst that can happen? What's the absolute worst that can happen here? And then I'll define that. I'll answer the question. I don't say that question hypothetically. Because you hear people say that, oh, it's the worst that could happen. But actually really ask yourself that question and really answer it. And I guess for most people, it's like, well, the worst that could happen is, I crash in a big fireball and die somewhere or whatever, right? Like, I guess that's the worst thing that can happen. The chances of that happening are so low, it's not worth not taking the risk.
My worsts are never that. They're usually somebody else dying, and then all of their responsibility gets placed on me. Like, for example, like my brother and Diana, that would be. That's like my worst fear.
Then all of a sudden you'd have 7 kids.
Yes, all of a sudden I'd have 7 kids.
You wouldn't though.
And not the fun. Yeah,
you wouldn't.
I'd figure it out.
You would have so much help. You'd have my help.
Oh, I know. I would have so much help. I just still scary, But but the thing about that fear that I recognize is that it's entirely selfish. And I switch my main frame of mind and go, but I would do it for them because I love them.
Of course.
The whole fear goes away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The entirety of the fear goes away because then I'm not. It just does. Yeah. And so that might be some advice. I don't know.
Yeah, you better help.
Yeah, I know that. I know that you would obviously, of course.
If you guys are like husband and wife, you better be helping. You guys are like a 1-unit show now, right? Like, if that's the case, like so. Anyway, so ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? And most of the time, when we figure that out, so we figure out what's the worst thing that can happen, and then we say to ourselves, what would I do in that situation? Right? So ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen here? I don't know. You figure that out. What's the worst that can happen? Okay. And then once you narrow that down and you figure out, okay, this is the worst thing that could happen as a result of this situation. Then say, okay, if that were to happen, what would I do? And think through that. And think, okay, well, if that happens, then I would do this and I would do this and I would call this person and, message this person and do this over here and blah, 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 right? And so you have a plan for the worst case scenario now. So then you have just planned for the worst. And so now it's not as scary because you're like, well, if that happens, I know what I'm going to do. It's not going to catch me off guard. And I have a step-by-step process of what's going to happen. Yes, it's going to really suck. Right? But
I can attest to this.
Hmm.
I just want to say I've definitely been like planned for the worst, and then all of a sudden it starts happening, and it's like instead of going into a panic, I'm like, oh yeah, I said I was gonna do this, and I go start doing it, and it's solving the problem, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. Like it totally changes everything. So it really does, even practically, it really does work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm giving you practical stuff to do here.
I know but like it's like you're playing with your brain to get yourself to like not be afraid, but also when the worst actually does happen, you've given yourself the tools to work with, which it's like it helps in two parts. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yep. Well, that's, honestly, that's one of the reasons that lawyers exist. Because they have understanding of this whole world of helping step you through this process of when things that are really bad happen, right? And you're running into these issues, right? So it's like when then you can have a plan to get through that thing happening, then you're like, okay, it's not so scary anymore if that happened. But then, okay, here's the next question. What steps can I take to prevent the worst thing from happening? What things can I do to ensure that that doesn't happen? And then you can start to make a plan for, okay, now I'm actively preventing the worst thing from happening. And I know maybe this is not your style, Anonymous. I understand. Some people are just like, hey, man, I don't want to make a plan. I don't want to plan anything out. I don't want to figure anything out. I just like to fly by the seat of my pants and show up and whatever, right? Like, okay, well, you're going to probably set yourself up for getting whacked upside the head with unexpected circumstances a bunch. And if you're okay with that, fine. But, for me personally, I was like, okay, if I can come up with some kind of a plan and then, so I know what's going to happen then, and then come up with ways to prevent that thing from happening, so then I don't even have to do that plan that I came up with. All these steps, with each and every step, I'm setting my mind more and more at ease. And I'm less and less afraid of the thing because I have contingencies and plans, and I know what I'm going to do if this happens. I know what if this happens. Yes, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to prevent that happening by doing this. I'm going to prevent that happening by doing this. And then you get into the situation, and most of the time I discover all my plans, I didn't even need them.
Oh, rarely do you ever.
I didn't need any of them. Because it just,
usually you don't.
Yeah, it does. It everything happened and it was fine. Or something unexpected happens that I didn't plan for, but it's still not the worst thing that could happen because I already planned for that, right? It's something, and then I can say to myself, well, at least it wasn't that, right?
Yep.
So, Anonymous, go for it. I would say don't be afraid, but I know you're going to be, and that's normal. It's natural. The other thing you can do is remind yourself of how similar the feelings of fear and excitement are to each other. Some of this might not even be fear or anxiety. What this might be is excitement. Because think about it. This is a new experience. You're doing something new. That's exciting. Flying on an airplane, that's exciting. We live in such a great time in history where you can get in a big hollow metal tube with flaps on either side, and it can go shooting through the sky. And they can have them crisscrossing each other all through the air because they got air traffic controllers, controlling all this kind of stuff. And we're shooting huge metal tubes through the air. And it gets us to places faster. It's crazy.
That's incredible.
And they're climate controlled. And the chairs
that's right.
are mostly comfortable. And they can feed you like some dried out chicken. and some peanuts or something, right? I don't know. Maybe they don't. It's been a long time since I've been on a plane. Maybe they don't serve food on them anymore. Do they still serve food on plane, right?
Yeah. It just depends on which plane you're doing and how long your flight is.
Okay.
Each plane service has its own dining experience, if any at all. And yeah, but most 90% of the plane rides I've ever been on have given me food, even if it's just a baggie of like cookies and chips or nuts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they almost always give you something to drink too.
Yeah. So you're gonna get something to eat. You're gonna get something to drink. You might be able to watch a movie, or maybe a couple. You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. You might have to sit next to some, guy who's too big for his seat, and that could be an interesting experience. And even if it's uncomfortable, it'll be a good story to tell later. You might have a baby crying, like 2 rows back, and that might be annoying, but you'll survive. It'll be okay. But
yeah,
the plane ride's gonna be great. Salule says they're climate controlled to prevent hypoxia. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But hey, they are climate controlled.
And most of them you can turn on or off your own little air conditioning tube at the top, which is really convenient because I get so cold and everyone turns them on and like points them at me, and I'm like, guys, that's not no one. You know what? I'm bringing a blanket from now on, and so I bring a blanket to the airport every time I go now, because it's always freezing for me.
Now, see,
you could, if you get hot easy, you can turn those on.
Yeah. Now it's funny because I'm old, right? And now flights are pretty much all non-smoking, at least the ones in the United States that come from or to the United States. They're all non-smoking. But when I was a kid, they had smoking sections of planes, which was a big joke.
Yeah, it's gonna get across the whole plane.
It's gonna get through the whole plane, like this, like. I'm sorry. And the doorway between the smoking section and the non-smoking section was just like a partial wall, and it was open on this top and the sides, right? It had a little doorway thing, and it was like, this is so, like, what's the point of having that? But anyway, Anonymous, you're going to be just fine. So traveling on an airplane, exciting. New place, exciting. Yes, it can be scary. But part of that is the anticipation. Part of that is the anticipation of how cool this is going to be, how fun this is going to be. This person you're meeting, you obviously like them. You like them enough to have this experience. And that's an exciting thing too. You're excited to meet this person. And so all of this stuff, even though we feel like we're scared, we can, with enough practice, we can flip that over and remind ourselves that this is actually exciting. It's not as scary. It's more exciting. And so you're feeling this mixture of chemical responses in your body. And yeah, it's cool. You're going to be fine. So if you can remind yourself of some of those things, I bet you it would help to slow down the anxiety train in your mind and get you more on track. So anyway, that's what I got. Ryan, did you have anything else about this topic?
Just a little. I would say, please read the chat. There's some good things in there if you want any more help. And anxiety is going to be a problem for your entire life, so long as you continue to let it rule your life. And that's always going to be the case. Once you decide to face those fears and get them on with, regardless of whether they're going to turn out good for you or bad for you, as you get outside your comfort zone and you learn you have more power than you give yourself credit for, and so on and so forth, your anxieties about all sorts of different things start to go away. I don't think necessarily you'll get away. You're never going to get rid of every single fear possible, and you're not supposed to. Kauai, for example, said something that's important. Watch out for bad actors. Make sure it's a public meet up and someone trusted knows where you are and where you are going and checks in. And that's smart, right? In case that something goes, in case there's a lot of lies afoot, for example, within the relationship, you don't end up in a position where you get caught unable to secure your safety or something.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, there are fears for a reason
Mm-hmm.
because they're supposed to guide us. They're supposed to prevent us from making bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, they protect
and
us
that's a
from
good thing.
danger, right?
Yeah, protect us from danger. But the less you get out there into the world, the more dangerous everything in the world looks.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more you get out into the world, the more you get outside your comfort zone, the less dangerous everything looks because you've expanded your comfort zone, you've expanded your horizon, you've expanded your experience. And so when it comes to this, if you're looking for your anxiety to go away before you make the decision to go,
Mm.
you may be waiting forever
Yeah, that's a very good point.
because you, like I just said, you need to, in order to get rid of anxiety, you need to do the things you're afraid of. You need to go out into the world where it is capable of being explored, and you can exercise the fascinations and wonders of your mind that are scary but are also interesting and exciting. Um, Things you anticipate and things you have anxiety for, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to take those actions. And what better excuse to do that than for somebody you love?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one way I would ultimately put it is this person not worth way more than your fears are trying to stop you from?
Mm.
Like, is this person not worth it to you? Are they not worth facing possible trials and scenarios that are uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I know you know the answer to that, and your answer is yeah, they're absolutely worth it. That's why I want to do it. That's why I'm talking to you guys about it. I'm just trying to get rid of the fear. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Is like, do you recognize how important that person is? That's a whole person. Like, and you get to do something really cool
Mm-hmm.
so that to interact with them and make their week or whatever it is. Um, and possibly continue on with the relationship. In your relationship, there's going to be plenty of trials, I'm sure. And so that's getting into the uncomfortable now is going to prepare you for the rest of your future with that person where there are going to be times where you have to get into the uncomfortable
You betcha.
and figure it out.
You
So
betcha.
I think this is an absolutely perfect time to apply yourself and show that this person is worth it and that you're worth it
Mm-hmm.
because you are. I don't want to see you give in to this and then end up giving into more and giving into more and giving into more fear to the point where fear rules your life. And it's no longer like the search for happiness. It's no longer the search for, joy or interests or whatever, but literally fear and anxiety rule every decision you make.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that in a lot of people, and it's a really sad thing. And I would never want that for anybody. Um, and so it's very, very, very sad picture. So this is your time to step up and go, no, this is me acting against that future. This is me acting towards a better future. One maybe with this person, but one definitely with myself feeling like, I have the strength to pull through no matter what comes my way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a much healthier relationship to be in with yourself. So anyways, that's all I wanted to add.
Awesome. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And thank you for that, Ryan, because yes, it gets back to this whole thing. The more you do the things you're afraid of, the less and less fear is going to be in control of you, right?
Yeah.
The more you give in to
And the more
fear and
chase.
stop yourself because you're afraid, the more fear will win and take control of you, right? So it's kind of like this
Hmm.
continuum. So the more times you face your fear and step out, you're less afraid of everything. Like just fear in
Mm-hmm.
general,
Mm-hmm.
in general, starts to decrease. And the more you give in to your fear and shrink back and let the fear win, the more everything gets more and more fearful, everything gets more and more stressful, all that kind of stuff. So the more you can get in that habit of stepping out. Now, here's the thing. I will say there is a caveat to this, and that is if you're dealing with anxiety that's absolutely debilitating, you may need to find a professional to help you work through something. There are tools that are out there to help you through that, though. Okay, and there are people that can guide you to those things. But sometimes, we do get to a point. Some things are just too big for us to handle on our own, or there's something we need to learn, or whatever. Right? I discover those areas of myself still. Right? Where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, this is a real problem. This is really a hang up that's causing problems for me. Like, I need to get this thing figured out and I don't know what to do. Right. And so I might need to ask a professional, or I might need to dig back into some of the advice I've gotten from professionals and maybe get a book or something that can help me, get past whatever it is that's stopping me. Because there
Mm-hmm.
are those moments as well where you might need help. And if that's the case, then get some help. Like we said at the beginning, we're not a substitute for professional help. Okay? And it's okay to do so. Now, but if it's just these
Mm-hmm.
fears and anxieties and all this kind of stuff, man, man, the more you take steps forward, the more free you will feel from all this
You
fear.
feel so much more alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, uh, yeah, it's great.
Yep. It's awesome.
Not saying you have to be a thrill seeker, but
No,
I
but you
mean,
can
thrill
be.
seekers definitely often feel a lot more alive than people who are not thrill seekers. I will say that. Yeah.
Yep. So cool. Well, Anonymous, thank you so much for the topic. You are awesome. And yeah, hopefully what we had to say helped. And good luck. Good luck with your trip. Good luck with getting the passport stuff figured out and getting your plane trip figured out and getting
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff figured out. This is exciting stuff. If you can remember the excitement, and when you start to feel afraid, think, wait. This is just excitement. This is just me being excited. And then you'll step out and you will conquer fear. And you'll feel so much better on the other side. I promise. I absolutely promise. So thank you. And I
Yeah.
was
Thank you so much for the topic.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Baka,
know,
I saw that you were in the chat. Baka, you have a topic
yeah.
here. And you said you wanted to be here for it. Um and I was just wondering if you're still here or not. Because we could do your topic. Or we could just yak about other stuff.
Yeah. Baka, you posted relatively recently about pizza, of all things.
Sure.
Sure.
Hey,
Sure.
Baka, welcome. You're awesome.
Welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes. So this topic I think is going to be fun. This is called Ghosts, all in capital letters. That's the title I gave it.
Ghost. Ghost.
Ghosts.
Ghost.
No, ghosts,
Okay.
plural.
Oh. Oh. Sorry, I can't be right all the time.
It's not really anything serious, but it's going to be a good topic. It's going to be fun to talk about. I promise. It's going to be good.
I'm excited already.
Yeah, ghosts. All right. So I'm gonna put this topic up on the screen so that you guys can read it. Oh shoot. I'm gonna put this topic up on the screen in just a second. And it's going to be wonderful. You guys are gonna love it. It's gonna look great. All right, here we go. This is called Ghosts, and it comes from Baka, and it reads as follows. My current place of work is haunted. I believe in ghosts, and I always fascinated by the things we can't explain. Things that happen include a fridge door open and close with no one back there, random loud noises from nowhere, One night I heard 3 knocks from the bathroom that I just cleaned with no one in there. And Monday I heard whistling from behind me. Looked in the direction and no one was there. Looked back and heard the whistling again. Do you believe in ghosts?
Nice.
And that is from Baka. So, Baka, thank you so much for the topic. Hopefully, we can do this justice. In a short answer, I can say yes, I believe in ghosts. I believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits. I believe in hauntings. I believe in all that. Yeah, absolutely. I am a very firm believer in the supernatural. I believe in aliens too. Well, I
The kind
believe
that come to your country because they're illegal or
no,
legal.
no. I mean like extraterrestrial.
I know. I was only being silly. Extraterrestrial. There you go. Yeah.
Super Neon Blue says we may have hauntings. My parents' house is haunted. It could be mice or rats as well because those guys can take stuff out of the fridge and take it to the other side of the house. That's very true.
Yeah.
I think it was fun.
And then whistle.
Yeah. I don't know. I hear mice scurrying around in the walls and the ceiling sometimes or the floor or whatever, like they get in, right? And so then you deal with them. But yeah, I definitely believe in there are things that cannot be explained. There are spiritual matters that,
Ratatouille.
it's very interesting. There are hauntings, and I remember listening to a bunch of audios from an exorcist, and he was also kind of describing the difference between, like when what somebody's experience is something demonic or just a like a departed soul or whatever, right? Like there's differences and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother lived in a haunted house for a while. He lived up in Marquette, Michigan for a handful of years, and their house was haunted. They had a ghost named Mimo.
Mimo.
Mm-hmm.
Cute.
Yep. They had stuff happen like they were sitting in the living room, right? There was a glass of water on the table in the dining room. Nobody was in the dining room. It was just my brother and his wife and his stepdaughter were sitting in the living room. They're just watching TV or whatever. And this glass of water on the dining room table all of a sudden like slid super fast off of the table and smashed against the wall. Like crazy stuff like that, right? Like and they watched it. Just
wow.
And you'd go like I remember seeing when nobody was in the house, all of us were gone. And this was before you had Alexa, for like smart houses and all this kind of stuff, right? They didn't have any of that stuff back then. But I remember we drove up to the house, nobody was there, and he was driving me back to his place, and we were in the street, across the street from the house, and the light upstairs was like going on and then going off and then going back on and then off, and who knows, like maybe that could have been an electrical short or a little wire something doing something or whatever, who knows. But there are these little things, doors doing weird stuff, windows doing weird stuff. Crazy. Wait, you have ghosts. Not only do you have ghosts, mice, but you also have ghost mice.
Ghost mice.
Are those the ghosts of the mice?
Yeah, must be.
Whoa.
Ghost mice.
Ghost mice. So
almost sounds like a superhero.
Yeah. Fun. So it's like pets that are also ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
I would much rather have ghost mice than than like live mice.
I can see why.
Because
I can see why.
A ghost mice doesn't like bring diseases into your house and doesn't have rabies and all that kind of stuff. Like they're just
yeah. Bro.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine it's a lot harder to get rid of a ghost mouse than it is to get rid of a live mouse
You're probably right.
or a dead mouse, I guess.
Yeah, live mice are easy to get rid of sometimes. We actually had one. We went. I told you we went up to Traverse City this past weekend, and we stayed in an Airbnb, and my boys, and my brother and his
Yeah.
wife and kids, and my mom went too, and everything. And we were all in this house together, right? 9 people, 1 bathroom. It was great.
That's smart. Okay, yeah, go on.
And but we're in there, and then my brother and his family got there way before us. And by the time we got there on Friday night, my brother had already had the silverware drawer emptied. All the silverware was in mugs in a cupboard at this Airbnb. And we're like, why'd you do that? He's like, because there were mouse turds in the silverware drawer. And then I cleaned them out. And then, like, an hour later, there were more mouse turds in that drawer. So it's active, right? Like, there's active mouse in this place. So, like, Saturday morning, we get up and we go to this grocery store and we buy, and my brother's like, okay, I'm going to this grocery store with you. We're finding some mouse traps. We're getting them. And we got some mouse traps. And then, and then he set them and he put them in there and everything. And then we went and hung out at the indoor water park or whatever all day. And then when we got back, we had caught a mouse in there. So we did our Airbnb person a wonderful service by getting rid of his mouse.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway,
you see, you get the mouse, and then you're like, it's your last day, and you're like, it's great, and you go to the door and you see like, one of those things in the door that says like, hey, make sure you clean up, blah blah blah, and then at the end it says, is little mouse junior doing all right?
Oh,
make sure he's well fed.
No. Sorry, Mouse Junior didn't make it.
Yeah. Anyway. Little Danny boy, all right? How's little Danny boy? Make sure you leave a little kibble in there, in there for him. And you're like, yeah, don't know what happened to that mouse.
Well, this topic is about ghosts, so I got to tie it back. We made a ghost mouse.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we created a ghost mouse. It was great. But anyway, Baca says the worst part of it is usually it happens when you know you're alone, or you know that no one else is there. You know that no one is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how you know it's a ghost, right? You have enough of those experiences,
right.
And you call out. You're like, something happens, you hear something, and you call out for whoever might be there, and they're not there. Nobody's there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have enough of those experiences, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
there's something here. So.
Yeah, because usually when there's someone else in the house, you kind of, or in the workplace or whatever, especially the workplace, you just completely ignore it because you're just like, it's easy to assume that they did something over there, and you're just like, of course, they're over there working, they're going to be making noises. But yeah, it does seem usually that probably they do tend to come out, if you will, when it's just you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty wild. I've heard lots and lots of different stories about hauntings and ghosts and stuff like that. I'm glad it doesn't throw product off the shelves for you too. That would really stink.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I mean, I guess I'll talk about it for a little bit.
Yeah, you talk about it. I'm turning over to Ryan. I want to hear Ryan's ghost stories. Ryan's ghost stories. We're gonna.
I don't have. Believe it or not, I don't have any. I don't have any personal ghost stories. Ghosts don't mess with me for some reason. Or if they do, I don't know. I guess I'm oblivious to it.
Well, you'd just be their friend anyway. They're like, I'm not gonna get a rise out of this guy. They're watching you, and they're like, this guy he's not gonna react.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I probably would though. I mean, let's be honest.
You'd be like, hey, let's be friends. Like.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I probably would.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was in my first year of college, I was like, it's interesting what I'm learning about like it was interesting what I was learning about sort of I guess physics at a lower level.
Hmm.
I mean, not a, yeah, physics at a smaller level, I should say. And I came up with this idea. I was like, it seems to me that it's possible that spirits are to some degree like you set electrons and so on. They have like a memory. And so I came up with this theory that um, people who die in a heightened state of intense emotion or intense activity, the electrons are still going to continue forward without them, sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, all these TV shows started coming out, and they're using electromagnetic radio like waves to see what if there's a ghost in there. To try to prove that there's a ghost, they're using electromagnetics. And I was like, I I just came up with that idea. I mean, I didn't expect you guys to use it. So that was kind of a funny thing. Um and but the thing about ghosts is I believe in ghosts. I don't have a problem believing in ghosts. I believe in spirits. I believe in the afterlife and etc. And I've heard a couple of stories now that they're religious stories, but a couple of stories of um, I'll give you an example of one, and it's really cool because um, most of the time when people experience ghosts, they are afraid and they don't want to be around it, and they kind of want to get rid of the quote unquote problem.
Hmm.
Um, but I've heard a couple of stories that were religious now, in the Catholic faith, that involved a ghost that was haunting a place,
Hmm.
and uh, eventually it got out of control enough that a exorcist was called,
Hmm.
and the exorcist went in there and they said, like, essentially, well, what we want to do is help this ghost.
Mm.
We don't want to try to figure out how to get rid of the ghost. We do, but we want to help them. And so the exorcist called on a different priest and said, all you have to do in there is like, you can figure it out. Just go in there. Like, just go in there and say the mass, see what happens. So
Mhm.
they went into the place and they did the whole mass, and the ghost freaked out.
Mm.
And so they did it again, and they did it for like a whole month. And they noted when the ghosts would freak out, and they would freak out um at a very specific part of the mass. I can't remember which part it was. I think it was a specific phrase within Our Father. Yeah, it was. We would do the Our Father, which is Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, etc., etc.
Mhm.
And the problem word set was, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Oh.
And those words, the lights would always flicker, or the ghost would freak out, whatever, something would happen.
Mhm.
Something, whether minute or big, would happen.
Mhm.
And so then they're like, okay, so clearly there's something. So the issue is the ghost is in a place where um, it cannot forgive someone for what they did. And
Mhm.
so they're stuck here
Mhm.
because they can't let go of what this person did. And out of a grudge, they're just so, this whole idea of what this person did to them or whatever they have to forgive is so strong, so like so much of their focus that they can't even depart into the next world. They're
Mhm.
stuck here with that thought, trying to solve it and not solving it
Mhm.
because they just cannot forgive this person, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Or or maybe it was the other part of the phrase, which is forgive us our trespasses. Maybe they can't cope with being forgiven by God. Maybe
Mm.
they're struggling. They're like, I would never be forgiven. I'm going to stay here and I'm not going anywhere because I know that as soon as I go anywhere, I'm going to hell or something.
Mm.
And they don't want to go. They want to face that. They don't want to face purgatory. They just like, nope, I'm staying here where I'm kind of safe. So
Mm.
it was like they were trying to figure it out. So if I remember correctly, it was something like that. And then as time went on, they kind of dug into it more and more. And when they figured out sort of what the core issue was with the ghost, based on how the ghost was interacting with them, and it wasn't like the ghost was just sitting there in an interview and talking to them, right? It was just when did the ghost act up?
Mm-hmm.
When did the ghost do a sign, so to speak?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, they were able to pray for the ghost and kind of just celebrate. And it was the last mass that they were going to do. They had planned to do it for exactly 1 month, and it was the last one. And they said, we're going to say the mass specifically about this topic since we figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And they read readings that were about that topic. And then the I can't remember exactly how the story ended, but the ghost did one last sign, and it was like a really peaceful, relieving, sort of relaxed, like nice gesture,
Mm-hmm.
and the ghost problem was gone forever. And
Mm.
so it's really interesting to hear that story. And it's not the only one of its kind. I've actually heard 3, I think, stories that were very similar to that. Different places, different times, but essentially the act of this ghost is suffering, and they're human too, and they're looking. Maybe they're not looking for help, but they need help, and
Mm-hmm.
so they could use your prayers, and sometimes they could use your words, and so sometimes you should speak to them and help them move on because they're not supposed to be stuck here, but they're stuck. So it's kind of like that. And so I like that interpretation of it. I like that interpretation. It's very uplifting and very dignifying. It gives the ghost doesn't become this enemy of fear or scariness or weird, like you're afraid of because you don't know what it's capable of, or feels like everything's a prank as they're pranking you all the time. It gives the ghost a certain sense of humanity and dignity, humanhood, which allows you to go forward and experience the ghost in a different way and attempt to actually move the ghost forward in its spiritual life, which is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about ghosts, that's what I think about. I think about those kinds of stories, and I think about if I did experience a ghost, that's kind of like my go-to, anyways. I've experienced a little bit of, the demonic, and that's kind of my go-to for them too. So it's going each experience with a certain amount of grace and dignity, and respecting the dignity of the creature, whether it be human or not. I mean, it could be just a cat that's messing with you. It doesn't mean you have to be mean to it, right? Respecting the dignity of the creature that you're dealing with, and treating it with love and hoping the best for it, and even acting out what might help it move forward. So that's what I got. That's what I got on ghosts. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I think ghosts are fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think this whole it is definitely very interesting to me. Um, Kawhi says it could be someone's long term prank. I guess yes, that's definitely possible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, somebody could just be like saying, "Oh yeah, yeah," and messing with you. But
Mm-hmm.
I, honestly, there are so many stories of hauntings and so
It's
much that
been
we
through
don't.
centuries and centuries, and like literally thousands of years you go back and people are still referencing, is that a ghost? Well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a long-standing experience.
Yep. And there are some crazy things too. Like, sometimes we get tricked into thinking things are haunted. Um, August says, I feel like there's spirits around me just trying to make my day in life a bit more nice. I like
Yeah,
that thought.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And August also says maybe they're earnestly trying to help us, but it just backfires occasionally. That's true too.
Yeah.
Um, like I think just like people, there are those that will us good and those that will us ill, right? And it's a choice. It's a choice on the part of that being, that spirit, that whatever, right? Like, and maybe they're trying to tell us something. Maybe they're trying, like, I like that story, Ryan, that you told, and maybe they've got something they haven't dealt with, and so they're kind of stuck, right? And they need to get something figured out in order to move on. That's definitely, one explanation that's there too. Um, One of the as you were telling those stories, Ryan, it reminded me of I remember reading some stories about like some of the Great Lakes lighthouses, and there was one in particular, and I couldn't remember the name of it, but then I googled it and I figured out it's Stannard Rock,
Okay.
the Stannard Rock Light, and this is on a reef that's in Lake Superior. It's like 40 miles off of the coast, right?
Hmm.
And so there's no land there that's above the water. It's below the water, right? And so this was a lighthouse that was manned for a long time, and you can just imagine if you're out in the middle of the water in this lighthouse for months, what would that do to your brain?
I guess it depends on the person.
Right.
But
Well, and
yeah.
especially in Lake Superior, that can be a really, really violent lake, right? Like the
Yeah.
huge waves, big storms, pull like all this crazy stuff, right? I mean, just like you're
Yeah.
getting pummeled by water all over the place. Like
Mm.
that could really, really mess with you. But also, there's all this lore about all these shipwrecks
Mm.
and
Oh, right.
the
Right.
ghosts of these people that were in these shipwrecks that would come and haunt the people in this lighthouse, and like so there's all these stories and all this lore about these hauntings, and it's really fascinating, and you wonder if some of it's true, you wonder if some of it's just made up, just who knows, right?
Yeah, that's the way it always feels. Yeah.
Yep. But we've been telling ghost stories, like Ryan said, for thousands of years. That tells me that there's probably some kind of truth to it. And so I don't know. I mean, I believe in ghosts. I believe in the fact that I call it a fact. Yeah, I said it's a fact, so therefore it is.
Yeah, therefore
Uh,
Joe has officialized the truth of it.
um Baca says lighthouses I have are haunted. The reason they are built is to prevent ships from crashing. Um yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why they're built. Yep. But then hey, but if there are shipwrecks out there where like maybe some of those spirits are still out there, right?
Yeah.
And they love the water, they love the sea, just like me, right? I love being on the water, I love being out there. um but oh, you were typing two different applications and it kind of merged. I gotcha.
Oh, nice.
um but
Relatable.
yeah, I think ghosts exist. I know that I've seen evidence, with the lights flickering at my brother's house, and from but that might be the only firsthand evidence I've seen personally. Some of the stuff that I've heard or experienced, like in some different houses or whatever, it can be explained. There are natural causes.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and we can be quick to assume a ghost when there's not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that they're not out there, and that doesn't mean that they don't exist. And that also speaks to some validity of life after death, you know. But it's crazy. What happens then is largely a mystery. What it's like for a ghost, what it's like for us after that, after we are done with our mortal lives, it's a mystery. We don't really know what it feels like. We don't really know what it is like. And so we can come up with this stuff and, and who knows. And then there's also you get all kinds of craziness too. People that are mediums, which I would I would encourage you to not consult mediums.
Hmm.
Um there's not really much point. A lot of them are shysters and swindlers anyway. They're just kind of faking it, and it's kind of a show they put on. But
And the ones that are real, you probably
the ones that are
you don't want
real,
it to. I don't
you
think you want to be.
you kind of open
Yeah, the
yourself up
implications are.
to you
Yeah.
don't know what that spirit is on the other end.
Hmm. If someone,
If
if someone's contacting the spirit realm and bringing back forth spirits to you, yeah, you don't know what that is,
mm-hmm.
and they don't know what that is either.
Yep.
And some of the information that they're told, while it's true, it's like, wow, how did they know that? It's like, well, the spirits all around you. They see you. They could tell.
Mm-hmm.
They could communicate that. But
Right.
it's like, okay, do I want to trust this person? Because what are the intentions of that spirit?
Right.
It's a real question,
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't know. I don't know. Yeah.
When if you look at some of the theology behind like angels, demons, and all this kind of stuff, right? Like a spiritual being, since they don't have a material body. The way it works is they don't really have to travel anywhere to be somewhere. Wherever they direct their attention to, that's where they are. So they can instantly be anywhere they want.
Hmm.
So that's how somebody can know something's going on. Like a spirit could know something's going on, on the other side of the world. And then you get verification of that. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, it must be my great grandma, whatever. But it might not be your great grandma. It might be a demon saying they're your great grandma, whoever. Right?
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
Saule, you're absolutely right. The Bible recommends against bringing back spirits to talk to. See King Saul and Samuel. Yep.
Yeah. Who then proceeded to do it anyways? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Not wait, which one did that? I don't think it
Saul,
was.
King Saul. King
I
Saul.
don't think it was Samuel. I think it was Saul. Yeah.
No, Saul had Samuel come.
Oh, okay, got it. Yes, thank you. Okay, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, he summoned.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That makes sense.
And Samuel came and was like, "Dude, you're not supposed to do this, right?" And I'm sure
Yeah,
he said the word dude.
he did say, dude. He did say it's written.
Dude, don't do this, right? Like this is bad news. You were told not to do this, now you did it, and now you're not going to be king anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
yep. Yeah, exactly, Saul.
That's right. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you guys. You got it.
Yep. Samuel scolded him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so don't go out of your way to do that. And now that I say that, probably, if you're anything like me, you'll be like, well, now I want to because you said not to, right?
Mm-hmm. Now I gotta test the waters and see if your authority is legitimate, and I need to figure it out for myself
Yep.
because I know better than you.
I say just understand, you're playing when you start playing with things like that, when you start, giving things authority over your life, that's a time to check yourself. And maybe not go down that path. This is giving off Hotel
If you
de
get in,
Luna K drama vibes. Hotel del Luna.
huh,
You mean
Hotel de Luna K-drama
are you
vibes.
talking about Has
Huh.
Been a Hotel?
No, I don't think so. It's a K-drama, whatever they're referring to.
Okay. Great K drama, very good. Okay.
Okay.
Hotel del Luna.
I've only watched one K-drama ever. Wasn't bad.
That's cool.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm. I like fun.
Yeah, you do.
And I'd like to think that if I ever met a ghost, I'd be friends with it.
Mm-hmm. You'd have fun with it.
I'd be like, hey man, let's be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I ever woke up and I saw a ghost hovering over my bed, once I got past the initial like shock and awe and all that kind of stuff, like what the
Yeah.
heck, like I'd like to think that we could be buddies, you
Yeah.
know.
That just reminds me. I think it was Padre Pio or something. Ah man, who was it? I don't know. Anyways, he wakes up and then he's like, "Oh, you're just the devil. I'm going back to bed." Like, he wakes up, sees someone at the foot of his bed, just staring at him, and he
uh,
looks at it and he's like, "Oh, just the devil. Good night."
yeah. Well, I
It's like,
guess when
what
you
the?
when you when you have that much faith, when you're just like when you say to yourself, okay, God wins this whole deal, right?
Yeah.
In the end, God beats you, and I'm on God's side. Like, okay, do whatever you're gonna do to me. I don't care. I'm going to sleep. You know.
Going back to bed. Yeah, oh, it's just kind of funny because it's like it implies it's like if it was an actual person, he would have been afraid. I'm like, "What are
Mhm.
you doing in my room?" But because he was just like, "Oh, you're just one of those. Okay, yeah, good night. Just another spirit, whatever."
Yeah. Hey, Jeff. Welcome. Web chat of 10 minutes past at a fundamental level for those who are Christian. Of course, you believe in ghosts, primarily the Holy Spirit, known to some as the Holy Ghost. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Fair enough.
We believe in spirits, right? And
Mhm.
another name for spirit is ghost. And, uh,
Spirit applies to a wider spectrum than just ghosts, though.
does it?
Well, for example, the spirit world consists of angels, which is considered a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't call an angel a ghost, though you could, but I don't think that'd be accurate. Because usually when we mean ghost, I guess it depends on what your standards are. But usually when we say ghost, we're referring to a bodily creature that has passed from this world,
Mm.
but their spirit remains here. So it's like it has some implications.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we call it the Holy Ghost, which is that's not the reason that the Holy Ghost is here. It didn't have a body and die. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess it extends beyond that. So
Yeah, they're
yeah,
sometimes
well,
a bit interchangeable.
but anyways, yeah, I guess they're spirits. They're all spirits slash ghosts, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the bottom line is there is stuff out there that is not explainable by science.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
There
mean,
there are supernatural things out there.
mhm. There are even non-supernatural things that are unexplainable by science.
That's true. And there
So
are
yeah,
things that are explained by science that are wrong and will be
that's true
corrected
too.
10
There are
years from
things that we
now.
have wrong. Yeah, there are things that we have wrong.
Yep.
I'm not anti-science. I think it's very great. Um,
But if you
but
see how
you have to have
science
faith in science
progresses,
sometimes.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
if you see how science progresses, you find out that's like, okay, this is what they're saying right now. They're saying
Mm-hmm.
this works for this or whatever, right? And then
Yeah.
10 years from now, they may be saying something different, right? I mean, like
Yeah. I mean,
who would have
yeah. I
thought
mean, we've seen that time and time again.
what do you think would have happened to somebody like if somebody from like the 1700s were to come over here, would to come to our time and see somebody talking on their cell phone? Or to
They'd be like, how are
have
they?
that have
Yeah.
that to have this person like who's this Alexa ghost in your house? Like Alexa who does all this stuff in your house for you, right? Like
Wow.
and if you're listening to this on speaker and you have Alexa in your house, I'm sorry. I'm triggering your Alexa over and over again.
You've mentioned it multiple times. Were you with Steve recently?
I talked to him on the phone the last 2 days in a row.
There you go.
Steve's got a smart house. He's got Alexa everywhere. And so like
He's had a few. He always, yeah.
yeah, for years he's just had and
Mm-hmm.
it's always like Alexa, when
Mm-hmm.
you're in there unless you want unless you want something to happen, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. Joe. Yeah. There are multiple times where we are having meetings with Jeff, and Kyle actually did it quite a few times. It was just like, "Hey Alexa," and it would go off, and he'd be like, "Play It's Not Like I Like You from Static P," and it would just start going or whatever he would say, you know. And Jeff's like, "Stop it! No, no, God. Alexa, stop! Alexa, shut up."
You mean Steve?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Steve would be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
I
sorry.
was like, Jeff.
I meant to say that. Yeah,
Jeff would just laugh because he thought it was funny that
yeah,
we were
Jeff would
pranking
laugh.
Steve.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So wait, Jeff's got personal experience. Jeff says, personal experience at around 12. My mom and I left the cemetery to go to my grandparents' former home we were cleaning out to sell. We invited them along in jest, but a mile down the road, I knew that they were in the back seat. At nearly 2, my daughter was chatting up a storm in the back seat, and my wife asked who she was talking to. She said, Gadpa, and then clammed like she had done something wrong. Ooh. That's an interesting
Clammed?
experience. I'm guessing like clammed up, like shut up,
Oh.
like got quiet. Uh wow, later that day we showed her several random pictures and she pointed out my dad who passed 15 years before she was born.
Wow.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And she was 2?
Mystics. They're like that, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yep. Yep, it's pretty wild. You know, it's cool. There's so much we don't know. There's so much that is unexplainable, and we try to explain it. We have these experiences, and it's incredible. And some of this stuff, man, it's inspiring, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you think to yourself, okay, maybe we can get help and also help them. Maybe we exist. We're not alone. And that can be a really, really comforting thought.
Mm-hmm.
Lol, Alexa. Yep. Alexa, buy me a Coke. I remember saying that one time. I think I said, Alexa, buy me a hot tub one time.
Oh, man. Yeah, that sounds about right. You guys really liked playing with that. I never did it. Of course I wouldn't. But anyways.
Yep.
Yeah. You guys are so funny.
But yeah, anyway. That's why you keep Alexa shopping off. Yeah, that's a good call. Yep. Now a hot tub is coming to your house. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
August. No, it would not. It would might take you to a site where you could look at and pick hot tubs.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not gonna just like
Yeah.
send you one.
Yeah, just like, Alexa, buy me a hot tub and send it to my house. Do not take me to a website. Just buy a random one, and I don't want to see it. I just want to see it once it's at my house. And then Alexa would be like, "All right." Nah, she wouldn't. Wouldn't know how to respond to that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Jeff. So to this day, your daughter's still an empath, not a ghost seer, but she soaks in emotions around her and senses things. Yeah.
Mm.
That's a cool sense to have, but I imagine it comes with a burden.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, Baka, thank you so much for this topic. It's been fun to talk about. I enjoy, this type of stuff. Ryan, did you have anything else to say about this topic?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you for the topic. It's been fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and thank you guys for being here. Sorry we got started a little bit late, but now we are at the 2-hour point. We're a little past it. But yeah, we got Ryan here, even
Sorry about
amidst the
that, guys.
time change. It was great.
We did it.
Totally didn't expect it to go this long. Yeah. Hey, we aim to please, right?
That's right.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us and, chiming in on the chat, chatting with us, and just being here. We love hanging out with you guys. And if you have a topic you would like us to talk about, go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, fill out the form, and we'd be happy to do your topic. Also, you're more than welcome to hit us up on Discord. I think the links were in the chat early. I'm at Joe the Pleb on Discord, and Ryan is at Static P on Discord.
That's right.
So feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. You won't be here next week unless you want to see AJR. Hey. I don't know.
AJR is a musician, right?
Yeah, it's a group.
Yeah.
It's like a band.
Oh, the group of people. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've
did
been
they
told
do
a
the
couple
world's
of times.
smallest violin?
Hmm.
I think they did a song called The World's Smallest Violin.
Oh, that was them? Okay, yeah. Well, if it is them, I know that one. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Yep. Going to a concert next week. Well, have fun at the concert, Baka.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Those can be
a
fun.
blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and then
That's great.
Yeah, if you're not going to the concert, you're more than welcome to join us on Don't Worry Wednesday. And we'd love to have you. So come back next week, and we'll see you then. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful life, and we love you guys so much, and we can't get enough of you. So we love you. We'll talk to you later. Take care, guys.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Take care, guys. I can't even talk.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you guys later.